there's an Illich factor here. I think Scott Harris had a budget, and Scott Harris spent the budget on a couple starting pitchers. And I don't know. I don't know if Hinch wanted bullpen help too, or hitters too, or like they could have spent a lot more money, and they didn't. And this is what happens. They tried to get some better hitters because last year was a disaster, of course. And to do that, they had to get rid of a couple of their relievers, and you're seeing the results of that.
Yeah,
If
well,
if Michael Lorenzen and Matthew Boyd is your budget, if you run up against the top line of what you're allowed to spend on those two guys, that's an ownership problem.
Yeah.
That's an ownership problem all day long. I know that's the drinking game. Drink up, boys. We'll probably talk about it again in a little bit. When we say they aren't competitive, that starts at the top. That point can never be hammered home too few times because other teams aren't doing that. Okay, they're just not. They're looking to compete. They can spend some money, and the Tigers had the money. It's a lie that they don't. And it's just, you have to believe Scott Harris was neutered in some respects by Illich because he came in last year saying that, there was a quote, right? Pretty much all avenues are in play, right, to improve this team. Well, that didn't happen. Okay. And I will say he had a bear covered from Avila on trades. Okay. You weren't going to get a lot. So you had the free agent market and they pretty much sat it out. And I don't count Michael Lorenzen and Matthew Boyd as a whole hell of a lot.
yeah. Well, to the spending money point, if you really let's say you take the top two free agents from last year's free agent class and you put them on the Tigers, how much of a difference is that really going to make? I think Scott Harris wanted to see, the core of what he had and if they can really compete. For me, I think free agency, it's once you win 80 games, then you add those free agents to get you over the hump. That's what Avila did when they won 77 games. But this team obviously is not good enough to compete. So realistically, is adding one or two big names really going to make that much of a difference?
Yeah, it is actually. And I say that because I'm saying not necessarily big names, but you can be smart and pick up a free agent and you can be smart about it. I'm not saying the Tigers have to go out and sign a big name. Rather, they could get a name and go, this guy could be effective. We could plug him, left-handed stick that could provide something. Because, again, you look at, you're going into another season where, Justin Henry Malloy is in the ball out of Toledo right now, and Andre Lipsius had 3 hits tonight. Those are 2 options that you didn't have last year. Granted, so maybe that's where they were going with that. But you can't tell me that if the Tigers had signed a bat, another, even just a bat, a left-handed bat.
Brandon Drury, for instance.
Brandon Drury, or even, I don't know, Adam Duvall.
Yeah.
That wasn't a cost-effective free agent would make a big difference and would solve those things. And so, yeah, go ahead, Chris.
Well, that's what they did the last couple of years. That's Robbie Grossman, that's Jonathan Scope, that's CJ Crone, that's Austin Romine. And it did look like it worked in 2021. It looked like they were a team that hey, we got some decent veterans now. Let's get some better veterans, and we'll have our young guys come up. And then all the veterans, all the decent guys, just completely soiled themselves. And for whatever reason, that seems to have continued into this year. And I don't know, that doesn't mean you don't keep doing it, but it's I don't know. It's just tough to live like that when you're going out and getting these middling free agents and you sign them for a 1 or 2 year deal. Sometimes it works out and other times it doesn't. And then you're blocking guys like Andre Lipsius and Justin Henry Malloy, at least for half of the year before you decide, you know what, Jonathan Scope, thank you. Here are your walking papers. Let's have a younger guy and see what he can do. So I don't know. My main hope, and we've talked about this a lot, is that Scott Harris will be much more decisive and will make decisions more quickly than Al Avila did, and not let this sort of sit and marinate for 3 seasons before you decide to make a move. But we haven't seen that yet. But of course, we're in Game 12, right? So
right.
It's the problem is that fans have the last 200 games in the back of their mind. They're like, this is awful. Do something. And he's got his own plans. and we're just gonna have to sit and wait and see what he does. But I do think that this is a terrible, terrible start to a baseball season for any team,
Right.
and I don't feel like he's just gonna sit and be like, cool, it's fun, let's keep trying. I don't think he's gonna put up with it for too long, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we'll see.